there's a secret door here. And behind this secret door...
Oh!
Yeah, right?
Yes.
I don't know if that's a good O or a bad O. Perfect fit. Not expecting that. You might remember this nesting bucket setup that I built a month back, 2 months back. Wanted to see how the birds did, just because we have so many birds and they all congregate to these nesting boxes. There's 2 in one box right now. They all congregate to that and there's not enough room for them to lay. So I built this to kind of increase the availability of egg-laying vacancies. My one concern is that it didn't have a roof. Chickens like privacy when they lay. And that turned out to be a valid concern because we only typically will get 1 or maybe 2 eggs laid in these buckets every day. The general population of chickens aren't really going in here. We just have 1 or 2 that are going every day. So I spent 10-15 minutes building this roof. Thankfully, I found a piece of this corrugated paneling that fit perfectly and set this up. Now they've got a roof. We'll see if the occupancy rate goes up a tiny bit. I'm going to cross my fingers and we spread out the egg laying opportunities for these chickens. Instead of just 2 or 3 spaces, now they have 6 or 7. So keep your fingers crossed. Let's see if they start laying in there. So we are on the cusp of a potential major project, several major projects on our house. And I say potential because we don't know if the projects are viable. If they are viable, they will be huge. I guess you could call them renovations to our house up here in the upstairs. If they're not viable, we've got to reconsider a lot of things. So to back up a little bit, this is the upstairs. This is kind of the A-frame section of our house. I think our house was built in the 40s. And this is the upstairs that we typically use for kind of a spare office. As you can see down here, we've got computers. I work from home on my part-time job, and I'll often work up here. I'll do my editing of my videos up here. It's a good spot for doing it. There's some additional room in here that we also use for storage, and then there's a closet. Let me walk back here. There's a closet back here. Let me open it up. There's a closet back here that we also use for storage, as well as something really cool behind this panel, which I think I've shown in earlier videos. A very, very large attic space, a big cavernous attic space, which I'll show you guys in a second. And I'll talk about here in a second. So all in all, it's a really great space. The one kind of drawback to this space, and you can probably imagine where I'm going to go with this, is in the summer, heat obviously rises. This attic space isn't really all that insulated. It gets baking in here, well over 100 degrees. If I were to bring a thermometer up here, I would say it would crest over 105 degrees up here. It's unlivable. You can't do anything in here for 3 to 4 months of the year. The rest of the year, it's fine. Heat obviously rises. We can put a space heater in here, and it's great. For the summer months, this is a no-go zone. It's essentially an oven. You could probably bake cookies up here. And why is that? Well, one of the reasons, I think, is because behind this drywall, it just goes straight to our metal roof. There's the frame of the roof, and there's a very, very light layer of fabric insulation. I don't know what the exact R value of it is, but it's not a lot. Clearly not enough to keep out the heat that is just roasting the roof in the summer months. We've kind of kept that at bay a little bit with this portable AC that you see here. That will kind of keep it at bay, but only for the person sitting in this chair at this desk. Otherwise, this whole space is just a roasting oven. You could just say, all right, we'll just stay out of the upstairs for the summer months, which personally, I don't like to accept admitting defeat like that. There's so much that we can do up here. What we have been doing is using the attic space and up here for storage. The storage bric-a-brac that you see right here is stuff that was in the main attic space that we took out just because it was getting way too hot in the main attic space, again, which I'll show you in a minute. Once you crest over 100 degrees, even using it for storage is probably not the best idea for the things that you're storing. Things start melting at degree points above that. So there's a couple things that we started looking into. And if you guys have experienced renovations or work in this regard, we'd definitely be interested in your experience. One of the things that we started looking into was foam insulation or spray foam insulation on the underside of the roof, the metal roof. We had somebody come out and said that, they work from an insulation company and they're obviously going to talk up their product, but they said that putting spray-on foam, closed cell spray-on foam on the underside of the metal roof could keep in the temperature. He said that the most it would get temperature-wise in this attic space is 10 degrees above the first level of the house, which stays very nice during most of the year. We have mini splits that we use and they've been working great. So he said, if it's 72 in your main layer of house, the first floor of your house, it wouldn't get above 82 if you use that closed cell insulation foam. Obviously, if you were to add in air conditioning elements in here, it would keep that air conditioned air in here. That's what the insulation guy said. So that's the first kind of potential project that we have, is to take this drywall down, remove all the old kind of flimsy fabric insulation and put in some closed cell foam spray on, and then put some drywall back on. And this area, at least, this office, this room, could potentially be a lot more livable during the summer months, and we can actually be up here. The second part of what we're going to get into is this closet area. Like I said, there's a secret door here, and behind this secret door is a very large attic space. We're gonna show you more of this later, but this is a big cavernous attic space, one that there is potential to finish out. And when I say finish out, I mean put up drywall, put up framing that would constitute another wing of our house, so we could potentially get more rooms in our house if we can frame this out, if that's even a possibility. Is it? The guy that came to visit us, the insulation guy, said that, oh yeah, this kind of stuff happens all the time. People will frame out their attic space after they get that spray foam on the roof and turn it into a perfectly livable space. That would be a dream to us. That would be, I don't know how many extra hundreds of square feet to our house in an additional room or more storage space. That would be incredible. Is it possible though? We don't know. It's one thing to kind of just nod your head when a sales guy is there and say, yeah, he obviously wants to make a sale. So we're going to bring out our good friend, Jim, from Two Turtles Homestead, who happens to do this for a living. A lot of you guys that watch this channel also watch the Kramer Life. As you know, Jim has been helping Nate and Katie with their build their renovation on their old farmhouse and has been doing an incredible job at it. If anyone's an expert at this type of stuff, if anyone will have an opinion on this type of stuff, number one, about the foam insulation, and number two, about the viability of a frame-out project in our attic, it would be Jim. All right, let's go in here and take a quick little look at what we're working with. So as you can see, it's in rough shape up here. This house was clearly built in the 40s. It's held up very well. You can see they used barn wood for these rafters. And the frame, the actual roof shape, the frame itself, they've used old barn wood, which has done an incredible job. So has it done its job really well all these years? It has. But the question that I have, that I'll have for Jim is this amenable to a frame out? Does the current state of the support that we have with these beams in the whole rafter setup, boy, it's hot up here. I'm trying to talk, but it's really hot up here. Is it enough to maintain the structural integrity of the house? I don't know the answer to that question. Right now, the only real use that this room is getting is serving as a place for this laid down fabric insulation. It's a big space. If a little roughshod, I have hopes that this can be transformed into something finished. We're just gonna have to wait and see what Jim says. One thing that you'll note, all these hoses on the ground, these are the lines for our mini split. That may present a problem because we're gonna either need to build around them or over them. Is that something we can do? I don't know. Hopefully Jim will know and he'll give us an answer to this question. But in the meantime, maybe there's potential here. Maybe this is a blank canvas that can be turned into something really, really awesome.
Am I talking too much, baby?
You're talking just enough.
I
You're
understand what I'm saying, but I'm not
to talk.
sure that I.
That's what I'm here to interpret. Jim speak.
I speak Jim.
So Jim and Kathy are here. The first thing we wanted to test out and ask was, would spray foam actually cool this space down, this first space, this office space? And the answer, Jim, is yes.
Yes,
it would.
Definitely it will.
It most definitely would. So that would involve tearing down this drywall, right?
Yeah.
Taking down the fabric insulation that's already there,
Yep.
and spraying it up, and then putting up a new
Yeah, they'll spray and then they'll come in and cut it flush with your rafters or wall or whatever, and then you can reapply sheetrock or tongue and groove or whatever you want to finish this.
And so that's one of the things that Jim mentioned was, instead of putting drywall or sheetrock back up,
It's such a mess.
it's a mess, it's a pain, there's all that stuff involved. Why not put up tongue and groove, which would look really cool?
It would look good up here.
So
It'll match something like you got downstairs.
yeah, in the kitchen.
Similar.
So the first question, is this office fixable for the summer months, is a resounding thumbs up. And that makes me very, very happy. Now, let's go check out that big cavernous attic
I'm
space and
looking
see what
forward
you
to this
think.
one.
Yep, all right.
Thanks for peeking.
Oh, yeah.
Was incredible. So you're gonna have to crawl in here.
That's fine.
And let me get the light
You
going.
gotta,
Okay.
I think the first thing we're gonna do is put a door right here.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, right? I
Yes.
don't know if that's a good O or a bad O.
No, that's good. Now I know why you said hard closed cell foam.
Yes.
Stick frame stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but it's done the job since the 40s.
That's what they did. This was cut on an old circular sawmill, and they just brought it here and put it up. See the mark? That's good. You ain't gonna get better lumber than that.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
it's the way they used to do
I'll
it.
take that down. Take that home.
The big question I have, and the guy seemed to indicate, oh yeah, you could finish it out up here.
Yeah, you could.
You think that's
Well,
doable?
Yeah, I've done it.
You've got
I
all
wouldn't
these.
say a million times, but yeah.
You've got all of these. I'm guessing they're.
Yeah, what are these things right here?
This.
Yes, there's several of them.
This roof bracing.
Okay.
See, this goes back at an angle.
Uh-huh.
It keeps your rafters from sagging over time.
Okay.
It's
You get a
interesting.
snow load or something.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's like see this triangle here?
Yes.
It stiffens this up. to where over time it won't sag with snow and stuff.
Okay.
And it keeps your roof line straight.
Now, if we were to finish it out in here, would we have to keep
collar ties?
If you have, now we have to find some points. Collar ties will help.
Yeah.
But yeah, most definitely a collar tie kind of would be like this one.
Yeah, yeah.
That keeps them forces
I'm
to
just
each other.
thinking, like, if you had a series of them. Up
Yeah, I
there.
would put one. Normally, I put them on when they're on 2-foot centers like this. I'd put them on every one.
Yeah.
Down through there, and then kick off to those. Whatever ceiling height you'd want, and then you'll have your walls back in here somewhere that would come up, which is another like a mid support.
Yes.
But the first thing you got to find is load bearing walls.
Which we'd have to locate
You should
them.
be able to find, like here. See, these are running this way, so your load bearing wall is going to be running that way. But you got to find where they meet, where it ends on top of a wall,
Okay.
and then we got to find the thickness of
Take
these.
good notes, 'cause I don't think
I'm recording it. I'm recording it.
Okay.
And the other thing is what you have to do. See, this is a 2x6. Depending on the span, you'd have to put in 2x10s beside these for floor.
So you'd sister them up.
You'd have to sister next to all of this.
Okay. So it'd raise the floor a little bit.
It would raise the floor up. 2x10, depending on the span, because depending on your span, you might need 2x12s, but 2x10s, it'd raise it up about 4.5 inches.
Okay.
Okay.
Which
Well,
Because you'll get bounce and all that stuff.
so these massive collar ties then would have to be either raised up, because now we're talking. So like right now.
Oh, this would be a fun project. Let's do it.
would. I'll take your word. I'll take your word.
If you were to add another 4 inches on the
Yeah,
floor
you'll
space-
have to.
Yeah.
You'll have to, because this right now is all this is designed to do is carry your ceiling load.
Okay.
If you put floor joists in here, then you've got all your weight of live and load weight.
Yes.
People walking around,
Yeah.
doing that, all of a sudden, and all the weight of all your building materials and flooring and yada 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 yada. You'll start sagging. Well, here's what you would do. The first thing you could do is get rid of these.
Okay, that was my question
But
because
the
they take up
first
a
thing
lot
you
of.
want to do before you do that is kind of guesstimate what your floor height will be, finished floor height, and go in here and tie them, put collar ties in.
A little higher up.
See, if you went from here to there,
Uh-huh.
kind of does the same thing as these do going down.
Okay.
Because it has that force of snow, this force of wind, and they're pushing on each other.
And these, could we lift those up, or would these?
Yeah, leave these in. Tie new ones up above your.
And then
ceiling
take these
height.
out after.
Take these out. Get everything tied in you can before, and tie these in. Then you could take this out.
We would
I'll tell
be
you what
fine.
I'm gonna do. If you'll let me, we gotta find the load bearing walls, and I'm gonna sketch some stuff out, and I'll draw you up a little sketch.
So there's a couple more things that we did. We were able to find the load-bearing points in that main attic space, which it's important to find before you plan out any sort of buildup of the floor, putting in a subfloor, all of those questions that we'd need to ask. And Jim spent some time kind of coming up with a sketch of just kind of the general layout and things to consider if we were to start making a floor plan in there. There's a lot of questions that we'd need to answer. Number one, I'm thinking about the tubing, the hoses for the mini splits that are in there. They're really in the way. Would we be able to extend those hoses and move them out of the way? Would we be able to work around them? We're still not sure. That's something we'd need to consider, or build around them, I should say. Is that something we could even do? I'm not sure. Another thing to consider is electrical. Obviously, there's electrical line up there. Would we need to get it secured before we did the spray foam? Or is that something that we could do after we applied the spray foam? The good news from this whole discussion is this area, this room right here, without doubt, this is something that can be amended, can be fixed. we can put in spray foam above this. We can take down the drywall, put in spray foam, and we'll be in a much better place up here during the summer months. It'll be far more tolerable up here. So this section of the upstairs, we're definitely going to do. Still got some thinking to do in that big kind of cavernous space. Another thing to consider is we could take a phased approach. We don't have to do it all at once. Obviously, something like that, a project of that magnitude is not going to be cheap. Is it something we could do in phases? Maybe phase one, we just get insulation up in there so we can use that area as storage. That's another possibility as well. But thank you, Jim and Kathy, for coming here. Jim, your expertise was exactly what we needed so we can start thinking out and planning how we're going to do this renovation. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to figure out. There's a lot of numbers to crunch. Imagine having the opportunity to add an entire new wing to your house. Like, granted, there will be expenses and investments and struggles involved with that, ups and downs, but at the end of the day, you have that much more extra room for your family in the structure that you're already currently in. It's exciting. There's a lot to think about. So thanks again to Jim and Kathy for coming out and giving us expertise, because we need it really badly. I think at this point we will need to decide when things kick off, when that's going to be, because if nothing else, we're definitely doing the current office room, and we're going to update that. Ideally, we'll have that ready to go by next summer, and we won't have an oven that we have to walk into, a sauna that's just unusable by next summer. It'll be a fully functional office or living space up there. So we got a lot to think about and a lot to do. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and until we see you again next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.